Oh, there. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to see you all. I'm happy to be here again in Bizek. Bizek Yatra Ki Jai. And I am happy to be here because I've just come a few days ago from China. And China is a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. You have that saying, that expression? Nice place to visit, wouldn't want to live there. Yeah. But 1.4 or 5 billion people do live there, and some of them are chanting Hare Krishna and reading Srila Prabhupada's books and offering prasadam and worshipping Gaur-Nitai. But this time while I was there, I mainly did not meet with devotees. So then what was I doing? I was mainly giving lectures at universities and sort of cultural centers, cultural institutions, which is what I generally do when I go to China, which I've been going there since some years, except I haven't been there since 2019 because of COVID. So this time was first time back, and it was interesting to be back. Some changes have come in the country since COVID. More control, a lot of surveillance, a lot of you're being watched when you're in China. Big Brother is quite present there. Anyway, that's another topic. But whenever I go, I give talks in universities, but it's a sort of it's a bit of a game. With each place I go, I have to be quite flexible with what I speak, and I have to be a little careful about what I speak, because they're a little nervous about, especially about the subject of religion. Although, it depends, because the sort of academic study of religion is quite all right in many places. But I have to be a little bit creative sometimes, and that's okay, it's interesting, it's fun, and I thought this time, maybe a little change for you is to show you, to share with you one of the presentations that I gave in China. In fact, this was the very last presentation I gave at one art museum in Hangzhou. I gave a similar presentation in other places, but this was the last one in Hangzhou, which is near Shanghai. And oh, there's some tambura sound. Is that intentional background music or?
Not intentional.
Oh. Yeah, speaking of control, not all, but many of the places where I spoke, the host, the professor who was hosting me, was very concerned to see my PowerPoint in advance. It's like, what? Yes, we have to see what you have to say. Anyway, so that was the case with this also. In fact, they changed the title of my talk at sort of the last minute, which was okay, I didn't mind. But the title of this talk was Chinese and Indian Traditional Narratives, very broad term, a comparison between Sun Wukong in Journey to the West and Hanuman in Ramayana. So this was my little trick to get people to hear about Hanuman. And if they're hearing about Hanuman, they have to hear about Rama, and they have to hear about Sita, and also Lakshman, and so on. So in this way I could tell some Ramayana. Sun Wukong, who is that? Sun Wukong is a character in a 16th century novel, Chinese novel, translated as Journey to the West. And this is a kind of adventure story about a Buddhist monk who goes to India to get manuscripts, Buddhist manuscripts, to bring them back to have them translated. So there's an historical basis here because there were, I think, 2 times. One in the 7th century, one monk did this. He came from China and obtained manuscripts, and he went back to China. Fa Xiang. So there's a little bit of history, but this is a novel with otherwise not much history. And one of the characters, a very significant character, and one who to the present day is extremely popular, is Sun Wukong. And Sun Wukong is a monkey, and but he's a very special monkey. He has very special powers, and he's a fighter, and he does all kinds of wild things, and has a lot of adventures, and so he's very popular, and he's so popular that last year some young students created a digital game called Black Myth Wukong. Let's see, yeah. And the main art director of this game, you'll see his picture on the left, was a student at the Art Academy, which was hosting me to give this lecture in Hangzhou. So this young man is a bit of a hero, especially in Hangzhou, but all over China. And this game that he created apparently went global. Some of you might know about it, but maybe you don't admit. And while I was giving the presentation, there was an art exhibit. The entire art museum, which was considered one of the best in China, or is considered, the entire museum was dedicated to artwork from this, this game. And it was very popular, this art exhibit. We came the night before, we got a tour, so many people. And this is a quote, it just describes how popular this game was. After a heady build-up that included 10 million views of the trailer on YouTube outside China, and a further 56 million on Chinese video platform Bilibili, the game claimed more than 1.04 million concurrent players on gaming platform Steam within an hour of its Tuesday official upload. Within 1 hour, this game had more than 1 million people playing. You know, they have this thing and they push the buttons. By Wednesday, that figure had risen to 2.2 million. So the point is just Wukong, or Song Wukong, is quite popular. Well, I wanted to make the point in my talk that Ramayana is similarly popular in India. And, you know, so many films are made. The television series from 1987, I think it was, had the entire India shut down every Sunday when they would show for over a year. And when it came toward the end of the series, people wrote to the producer and said, "You can't let it end." So he actually stretched out the episodes at the end to make it all go longer. So this is from William Dalrymple. He's a quite well-known author. He said, in villages across South Asia, hundreds of people would gather around a single television set to watch the gods and demons play out their destinies. In the noisiest and most bustling cities, trains, buses, and cars came to a sudden halt, and a strange hush fell over the bazaars. In Delhi, government meetings had to be rescheduled after the entire cabinet failed to turn up for an urgent briefing. Yeah, so again, the point is that Ramayana is very much alive in India. So, and of course my point will be, and Hanuman. Hanuman is very, very popular. How do stories highlight similarities or differences between Chinese and Indian cultures? So this is, you know, the context is academic. I'm speaking to scholars, some young, some of them are what we call graduate students, and usually a few professors would also come. So I say this question can be in the background of this brief exploration of the two long celebrated stories of the two long enduring civilizations. And I make that point also. Chinese people are understandably proud of their civilization being so ancient, it goes back well over 2,000 years to 3,000 years. And similarly, people in India are proud of their long-standing civilization, going back, according to tradition, much more than 3,000 years, but we can say 2,000 to 3,000 years. So I make that point also, that don't forget one of your neighbors has a similarly ancient civilization. So we have these are two books. One is The Journey to the West, and the other is the Ramayana. And I'm focusing on these two characters in particular, Hanuman and Sun Wukong, for comparison. And this comparison, I'm not the first to make this. Scholars have studied, examined, analyzed, and tried to find what are the connections between the two. And I can say something about that as we go along. I hope this will be interesting for you. No? Yes. No? No. Yes? Okay, we'll see. So first, I give a little bit of cultural background, in a sense. This larger image on the right is a narration of the Ramayana in stone. And this is from central India. And the temple, the image on the right is from within the temple on the left, which is a Shiva temple, which has been carved out of solid rock. It's the largest solid rock carving of any sort anywhere in the world. This is at Ellore in present-day Maharashtra. So I explained then, because they're not familiar, most of the audience there are not familiar with the Ramayana story, so I tell the story briefly. There's a hero. We don't say the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We just say there's a hero named Rama, Prince Rama, and he marries Sita, but he's banished to the forest for 14 years. Why is he banished? Because his stepmother, as you know, is worried, is concerned. She wants her son, Bharata, to be the ruler. And so she makes some machinations, some manipulations, in such a way that she gets her way. Well, not exactly, but I don't go into detail. So Rama and Sita go to the forest together with Lakshman, one of the other brothers, and they have so many adventures. And again, I just kind of leave it simple like that. And then comes Ravana, and Ravana is a Rakshasa or a Titan, and he hears about Sita's beauty, and I don't explain how he hears about. You probably know it's because Shurpanakha has come and met Rama and Lakshmana, and they reject her, and not only that, they deform her, right? What is it? She loses ears and nose. And Shurpanakha goes back to Ravana, crying, and telling him what happened, and mentioning Sita, saying, she's really beautiful. And Ravana becomes interested, and so schemes to abduct her. Now this was an art school, and several times I was urged to discuss art in relation to my topic. And so, well, I'm not an art historian, but okay, let's see what we can do. So it's like that many times in China. I was asked to give a talk in another place on, what was it? Something on psychology. I'm not a psychologist. Okay, so I talked about positive psychology and yoga. Yeah, why not? And that went quite well. So this is an image which is, whether you're interested or not, this is from Himachal Pradesh, Pahari region, 19th century, Kingdom of Kangra, from the court of Anirudh Chand, who ruled from 1823 to 1833. We'll be testing you after this. Actually, I found this image quite intriguing. If you look closely, Rama is holding a bow. It's a very thin bow. He's also holding an arrow. And Lakshman on the left, what is Lakshman doing? Can you see there? There's a fire, so what is he doing?
Chapatis.
Well, he's cooking something, but it doesn't look like chapati. And most devotees don't know this, but in the unabridged edition of the Ramayana, Rama and Lakshman, while they're in the forest, they hunt. They hunt animals. So it looks like he's cooking something here. Also in the Mahabharata, in fact, Yudhishthira has a dream at one point that a deer appears to him in the dream and says, "Will you please move on somewhere else? You are reducing our population here too much. So from an ecological point of view, you should move on." And so they do. And if you look closely, what does Sita have sort of wrapped around her lap? Yeah, it's a deer skin. Anyway, this is from the 19th century. What do they know about what Sita and Ram were actually doing? Okay. Then I explain about the abduction. We often say kidnapping. I don't know, I think it's more of an abduction. And this image, also 19th century, is interesting, I think, because it shows two different moments in the same story. So it starts on the lower right, and there you have Ravana looking sort of innocent as a sadhu, wearing a funny sort of hat, and having a funny sort of danda, and he's just grabbed Sita, and Sita, you see, is stepping now, or has stepped beyond the Lakshman Rekha. What is the Lakshman Rekha, you know? Yeah, the circle that Lakshman inscribed, he said before he left, because Sita had insisted he go to help Rama. he inscribed this circle around her. He said, "Do not cross that line." That's, by the way, not in the unabridged edition of the Valmiki Ramayana. That's a later tradition. So, and then on the left, there's Sita on the chariot, and there's Ravana with his 10 heads, and the animals that are pulling are asses, donkeys, and some funny guy is driving. Looks like a big mouse. And behind you see Jatayu. Jatayu is trying to stop Ravana, and we know what happens. Jatayu sacrifices his life. Yeah, so in this way I briefly tell the story, and then I pointed out, I came across this online, this same episode, someone has added these bubbles. The one on the top is Ravana speaking. He says, "I'm kidnapping, and I'm," what is it? It's fuzzy. I'm kidnapping you, taking you away. And then Sita says,
"Force her to marry me."
Oh yes, thank you. And then Sita says, by sections 362 and 366 of the IPC, the Indian laws, that's 7 to 10 years jail for you, Ravana. So I looked, where is this image coming from? It's a website which is doing a very good thing. They're educating people in India about Indian law so that people know what are their rights. It's a good thing. But I just thought that's interesting. They make this connection because everyone knows the story of Ramayana. And it's just so funny imagining Sita saying this to Ravana. Okay, I do a bit more overviewing. Rama makes alliance with the monkey kingdom of Kishkinda. Hanuman, who's been sent to find Sita, meets her, burns Lanka, returns to report to Rama. The monkeys build a bridge to Lanka. Rama and his monkey hordes invade Lanka. Rama and his monkey hordes invade Lanka and battle with Ravana. Rama kills Ravana with a single arrow to the heart. And then Rama returns, triumphant, with Sita and Lakshman to Ayodhya to rule the kingdom. I don't tell the later details of Sita's banishment and so on. I mentioned that Bharata happily steps down from the throne. Actually, of course, Bharata never really takes the throne. He puts Rama's padukas, his shoes, on the throne, and he goes to live on the edge of the forest. Bharata goes. Okay, then I point out just 5 broad themes in the Ramayana. One is keeping vows. Right, this is kind of what propels Rama, his determination to keep a vow, to follow the order of his father. Another theme is fraternal solidarity. Solidarność. Solidarność, yeah, in Polish. Solidarność. The solidarity between Bharata and Rama, and Lakshman and Rama. And of course, the theme of a wife's faithfulness to the husband, and Sita is the model for that faithfulness. A broad theme of cosmic order and righteous action. And this is something I found in China. It's actually very easy to speak on Ramayana, where I'm not supposed to speak on religion because I can speak about Dharma. And everyone appreciates, they like the idea of Dharma, because a lot of it resonates with Confucian tradition. Kongfuzi. Or Kongzi. And a last theme is faithfulness or empowered service, and Hanuman is the embodiment of that. And I show this modern image, which is interesting because it has kind of everybody there, the whole family, so to say. You can see in the upper right, there's even Lord Shiva and Ganesh, and there's Lord Brahma on the left, and Narada is there. So it's like a sweet family reunion image. This next image I wanted to show people, scholars who study the Ramayana and whom I have learned from, studied under. On the left, Professors Robert and Sally Goldman, husband and wife team, were my Sanskrit professors for some time in California. And also a husband-wife team, Professors John and Mary Brockington, are in Oxford. They're retired, but they've spent their whole lives studying the Ramayana and writing about the Ramayana. And Sally and Robert Goldman have translated a large part of the unabridged Ramayana. And actually it was quite a lot of fun. My, was it 1 or 2 semesters I had with Sally of Sanskrit, we were reading the Ramayana in Sanskrit, and she had us reading Sanskrit commentary from traditional commentators, from the Sri Vaishnava tradition. So that was interesting. Right, now we get into Hanuman and Sun Wukong. What do I have to say here? Well, we start with one similarity. You know the story. Hanuman thinks that the sun is a big fruit, and he jumps and he gulps, he puts into his mouth the sun. You know this story? No? Yes, no, yes, no. Some yes, some no. Well, when he's very young, as a child monkey, he sees the sun one day, and he's always hungry. And for him, this is just a very bright fruit. And so he swallows. And then there's a problem because there's no light in the universe. And so Indra is very upset, and he comes along with his lightning bolt, and he throws it at Hanuman, and Hanuman gets thrown down on the earth. His mouth opens, the sun is back up in the sky, but now Hanuman is unconscious, and his jaw is broken. Hanumant means one with a jaw. And so then I think Lord Brahma comes, and all the devas come, and they're very Oh, first Vayu comes. Vayu is very upset. Vayu is, in a sense, Hanuman's father. And so then they all come and they give benedictions to Rahu. Rahu. Ah, could be. There are so many versions of these stories. Okay, that's Hanuman. Now, Sun Wukong, upon realizing that he is at the top of the 33 layers of the heavenly palace, steals and consumes Lao Tzu's pills of immortality and Shi Wang Mu's peaches of immortality. Now, in Chinese culture, peaches symbolize long life and immortality. So, in the heavenly realms, what do? They eat peaches. What is peach? Bretskva, yeah. So they're really into. So, okay, there's kind of a similarity there. Sun Wukong sort of breaks into the heavenly realms and makes a lot of trouble there. Unlike Hanuman. Hanuman is one short visit and then he's back. But Sun Wukong makes lots of trouble. Sun Wukong is said to have been born from a stone egg. From a stone egg. And when he came out, it was because the wind had blown over this stone egg. Then came Sun Wukong. Well, Hanuman was conceived, in a sense, by the wind god Vayu. And then the point of immortality. Of course, here we have two different understandings of immortality. But apparently Hanuman, at least in some versions, does get this benediction to be immortal. And Sun Wukong gets all kinds of immortalities, you could say. But in his case, it's mainly from Taoist practices that he does. It's been said that this novel, The Journey to the West, is one of the things it's doing is criticizing Taoism. Because Sun Wukong eventually becomes a servant to this Buddhist monk, and then eventually he becomes some sort of Buddha himself, a kind of warrior Buddha. In any case, there's this idea, they both get some sort of immortality. And then another sort of parallel, you could say, Sun Wukong is able to change his form. And in this computer game, they take full advantage of this story, and they have him, the player can change the form of Sun Wukong. Hanuman, when he meets Sita, after he finally wins her confidence, he shows her the ring, which he has carried with him, according to one version, in his mouth. Why did he carry Rama's ring in his mouth? How disrespectful. Well, where else should he carry it? If he would wrap it in his dhoti, there was a danger it would fall. It would come out. If he put it on his Brahmin thread, did he have a Brahmin thread? There was also a danger. He knew he was going to have to be fighting his way to Lanka, so he decided, according to one version, Best thing is put it in his mouth. And there was a special advantage to this. Engraved in the ring, what do you suppose is engraved in the ring? Rama. So he was constantly tasting the name Rama. Now I can just anticipate we're going to hear some devotees going to say, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have a ring made with the name Rama. I'm going to keep it always in my mouth. Anyway, so after he wins her confidence, he says, I can take you back to Rama. And Sita kind of laughs. Little monkey, how are you going to take me back? Oh, you don't know? I can become very large. And he becomes very large. He changes his shape. Shape-shifting. And Sita, of course, says, no way. I'm not going to climb on your back. I'm not touching anyone. I'm not touching any other man than my husband, not even with my feet, she says. Yeah. He also changes his... Oh, that's in the next picture. The first time Hanuman meets Ram and Lakshman, how does he appear to Ram and Lakshman? Do you know? He comes in disguise. He comes as a monk. Because they don't know who is this Ram. They don't know he's Ram, and they don't know it's Lakshman. These strangers have come to where Sugriva was staying. And so they're suspicious, and Sugriva sends Hanuman as a envoy to check. So he comes as a mendicant, as a monk. And there's a lot said about that meeting, but one point is that as soon as Ram sees Lakshman, he says, oh, you're a monk, but why are you wearing a diamond necklace? Hanuman was wearing a diamond necklace, but this diamond necklace was completely invisible. He had been given this diamond necklace, I think by his mother, who told him that the person who sees this diamond necklace is your master. So as soon as Ram said, what are you doing with that diamond necklace? You're a monk. Monks don't wear diamond necklaces. As soon as he says, Hanuman immediately understands, this is my master. This is who I am to serve. It's off the topic, but it's also said that Hanuman, when he was first asked by Rama, who are you? He said, I am a servant of Sugriva. And when he said that, Rama kind of stepped back. And as soon as he stepped back, Hanuman realized he had made a mistake. He had made a big mistake. He should not have identified himself as a servant of Sugriva, because already now he knows he's a servant of Rama. It's going to take him some, I think it says 4 months to correct, to win Hanuman, to win Rama's full confidence in him. But eventually he does so. In any case. Sun Wukong, he also takes different forms. Sometimes he would take the form of a Taoist priest, how to meet Taoist strangers, he would appear as a priest. Now, I made some plot comparisons. Well, these are not original to me. One scholar has explained the similarities between, these are 4 chapters in the Journey to the West. So these 4 chapters of the Chinese novel and the Ramayana are evident, the similarities are evident even on a superficial level, superficially. In both texts, a demon abducts the consort of a king or a prince and takes the princess back to his palace. In both cases, the king or a prince is plunged in grief. In both cases, the king meets a monkey who volunteers to search for and to find the lost princess. In both cases, the monkey finds the princess at the dwelling, the place of the demon. In both places, he disguises himself and enters the palace. In both places, in both episodes, stories, after locating the princess, the monkey becomes a messenger from the king and proves his authenticity by showing the princess some token, some special thing. Again, in case of Hanuman, it's his ring. And in both cases, after finding the princess, the monkey sets fire to the demon's residence, to the palace, and then quickly escapes. Okay, that's some details about Sun Wukong rescuing a princess in that part. I won't delay on that, linger. This is, I think, a nice quote from Ramayana. Rama's saying, after Sita has been abducted, he says, I'm sick at heart and wretched at what has happened, O Lakshman. My left eye is throbbing fitfully. Sita, no doubt, is gone. She has been carried off, or has set out on her own, or is dead. So this sense, this lamentation, and this is emphasized in the Ramayana, that Rama is a human. He is human. He has human emotions. He is the Lord appearing as a human with human emotions, because Ravana has to be killed by a human. Why? Because he got benedictions not to be killed by any other kind of being, but he didn't bother to get benediction not to be killed by a human, because he figured there's no need. How could a human possibly kill him? Some more details. Sun Wukong rescues 2 princesses in the Journey to the West. Okay, I'll move on. I just go into some details. And again, my purpose is to tell them Ramayana stories. This is about the chaste character in both cases. And both princesses refuse to believe the monkey until he shows the token, and so on. And the fire at the end. Okay. Now, this is an episode in the story of the Journey to the West. There's a character that Sun Wukong meets. She's called Iron Fan princess or Iron Fan woman. And princess. Anyway. So one scholar who studies these things has written, this entire lengthy episode in the journey to the West resembles Hanuman's visit to Sita in Lanka so closely that the similarity cannot possibly be ascribed to chance or to shared folkloric impulses or any other explanation other than plain influence, whether direct or indirect. So this is kind of a point that I'm making, that Ramayana was composed many centuries before the journey to the West, 16th century, Common Era. We have these two stories. There are so many parallels. So it's reasonable to understand that there's been some influence from the Ramayana. Okay, and then I point out differences. Hanuman is always ready to subordinate himself to Rama. This is very much unlike Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is highly rebellious. He's quite a troublemaker. And at one point in the story, he's given a gold sort of band on his head to control him. Whenever he gets out of hand, then this goddess, what's her name? She's a form of Avalokiteshvara. Anyway, she sort of, by her mystic power, she controls him by tightening this band. Anyway, he's not at all, he's quite resistant to authority. Hanuman is not like that. He's completely devoted to Rama and Sita. And I tell about Hanuman tearing his chest open to see Sita and Ram in his heart when he's told that they can be found there. And I point out, yes, he's also bound, but he's bound by what? By devotion. And he acts, Hanuman acts as a kind of team member to find Sita and to fight against Ravana. Okay, and then this was my chance to slip in Bhagavad Gita. Vishaya vinivartante nirahara siddhina rasavarjam raso api asya param drishtva nivartate. Though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements, by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. This is where I introduce bhakti. And actually the professor in this last presentation that I gave at the Art Museum, he was totally into it. Yes, bhakti, we need bhakti. We need more bhakti. Very nice gentleman. We may have some opportunity to publish something with his help. So I wanted to introduce, the aesthetic dimension. So I point out this is about rasa because these are art students. And then I quoted another famous verse, you all know it. Nigamakalpataror galitam balam shukamukadamritadrava samyutam pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavuka. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So it says, pibata, drink, Bhagavatam, drink the Bhagavatam. How do I drink the Bhagavatam? Well, it's a rasam, a rasam. It is a nectar, and it is a reservoir of nectar, a source of nectar, alayam. And the speaker here, which is assumed to be Vyasa, says, Aho rasika, O you rasikas, O you who relish, who have aesthetic appreciation. O you bhavukas, which can mean you mad people. You should relish the Bhagavatam. So I managed to kind of slip this in. And then I ended the presentation with a few images of Hanuman. They're amused by this image on the right in modern day Delhi. I think it's Delhi. From the 11th century Chola dynasty, 19th, 20th century images. Yes, Hanuman on the left, Sita and Ram, Vijay. And then Hanuman, this on the right is from the BVT, I don't know who is the artist, burning Lanka. This is Hanuman taking the Oshadi from the Himalaya. And I point out that Hanuman is ubiquitous, he's everywhere in India to be seen, always painted orange in bigger and smaller shrines. And one shouldn't be surprised to see such an image in the middle of a town somewhere. And in more recent years, Hanuman has become a superhero in the comics world. A superhero. Yeah, I don't know if I can relate to this kind of Hanuman. Yeah. And this is jumping just to Bali, some kind of ritual dance they do, Hanuman. And then I also brought in Sun Wukong in recent visualizations. And again, Rama. And that was it. That was... and then we had discussion. And it's another curious thing of, it seems to be the general system in Chinese academic arrangement, that after a guest speaker gives his talk or her talk, then the professor who's hosting has to give their purport for their students. Sometimes it's not, and sometimes they end up saying things which are kind of the opposite of what one is trying to say. But one just hopes that something comes through, you know. Something will come through and someone will be touched in the heart, someone will become a little attracted, or maybe more than a little attracted to to Krishna, to Brahma. Okay, so again, I hope this was a little different maybe than a usual talk. I thought I would just share with you what we do sometimes in the other side of the planet. As I said, there are devotees in China. They have to keep a low profile. It's now illegal for more than 12 people to assemble in one place for a gathering. And even for the legal religions, I was told, it's illegal for anyone under the age of, I believe under the age of 18 to attend. So they're very clever. They're saying there's freedom of religion, but not for you or you or you or you, because you're too young and because you're too many. And anyway, they make interesting arrangements. But still, devotees, there are some very determined devotees in China. And they have books, they have also legally published books, Bhagavad Gita, first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam, legally published. Yeah, interesting culture. Okay, I'll stop there. Maybe I should see if anyone has a comment, question. Yes. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki.
I have three questions.
Three.
The first one is, the title here is Chinese and Indian mythologies. What was Chinese change? You said that they changed.
Oh, yeah, they didn't. They forgot to that last slide. Yeah, this was the change. Chinese and Indian traditional narrative. Or did I change it? No, they changed it. Yeah. They didn't explain, but that's what they did.
The second one is about Hanuman. Because we are not into this Darwin theory that came from the monkey. And some scholars I read online, they said he's Vanara, Nara means human, and Va is not actually monkey, but is something between.
Yeah.
Is it so?
I mentioned Robert and Sally Goldman, who did the actually they translated the Sundara Kanda of the Ramayana with notes. And I remember, it's years now since I read, but in their notes they had quite extensive notes on this particular question. What is a Vanara? And I remember their conclusion was inconclusive. They said, and these are, very meticulous scholars. And so, as I remember, they just decided, we're just going to call it monkey. But yes, you will hear, especially Indian pundits, perhaps more traditional scholar, they might say, no, not monkey, something else. Kim Purusha, there's Kim Purusha. King Purusha, literally, Kim is the question word, what? So, what kind of human? Or what kind of person? Purusha. What kind of man? Purusha. Huh? Yeah. Different theories.
Thank you. And third one is regarding chanting of different names of devotees who are not in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, like is it okay to chant Hanuman Chalisa? Or, you know, the people sometimes take remedies, you know, from Hanuman and some others. I also thought about Durga, about Shiva and others. They're all devotees, by the way, but usually they are not into that. What is your opinion?
I'm getting put on the spot. Have you noticed? Some devotees chant Hanuman Chalisa. It is composed, if I remember, by Tulsidas. And Tulsidas composed Ramcharitmanas, which is in a Hindi dialect called Avadi, of his version of the Ramayana. And it's very devotional, and I would say Tulsidas is very devotional. And so I would say, personally, I would say there's no harm in chanting because it's glorifying Hanuman. Hanuman is a devotee. We might not make it part of our temple liturgy, but you know, for oneself, I don't think there's harm. A lot of people in India chant. They like the Hanuman Chalisa. Chalis means, what does it mean? 40 or 42? It just means 40. 40. Yeah, there's 40 verses, so it's called 40. But it's not in Sanskrit, it's not in Bengali, it's not in Brajabhasha, it's in I'm pretty sure it's in Avadi Hindi.
I'm just like to take this opportunity to tell devotees that you can buy books.
Oh, here comes the advertisement.
And he will sign, so, and you will get the cookie also.
Oh, well, in that case. Hare Krishna. Ishwar Puri.
Thank you. It was very interesting to hear a different way of presenting Ramayana and to see how it is possible to bring Krishna even at places where it seems impossible to do. I remember during my academic period of career and later on in the management, when I was having a lot of presentations and so on, due to the topics which I was covering, telecommunications and something like this, it was very difficult to connect and to bring in so
Yeah.
it was very difficult. But the question which I would have, is there a research, do you know if there is a research question set, why there is similarities between Chinese and Indian traditional melodies? Because maybe this question why will bring us further more in understanding that everything comes from one source.
Oh. Well, of course, that's been a question which is, it's more broad than just India-China connection. It's a question of how different civilizations, different cultures may be connected. And there are, yes, there's been a lot of talk about that. On the Western India side, there's been a lot written, a lot of speculation about connection between Greek and Indian culture, you know, Greek, Indian, Persian culture connections. Which direction did this idea go? Did it go from there to there, or from there to there? and so on. Or what you're suggesting is, a more Jungian idea, right? That it emerges. Why does it emerge? Well, because we might want to, if we want to be Jungian, we want to say because of, what does he call it? The collective unconscious, right? And we might want to say, well, it's because of Paramatma, And, or you can mix and match, you can have a combination of reasons. So there can be what's called diffusion theories, that ideas or a story comes from a source and it gets diffused geographically to different places. There have been connections between China and India. We visited one city, Qingzhou, which is kind of southeast China on the ocean. It was in the 15th century. It was a major trading center between China and India. And there's a big Buddhist temple there we visited, where it's Buddhist now, but apparently originally it was a Shiva temple because of Indian merchants living in Qingzhou. And there are carvings in the columns. There's a Nrsimha carving, and there's Ganesh, and there's a few others there. I have to say, the Buddhist temple was a kind of Panchatattva Buddhist temple. There were 5 big, giant Buddhas lined up, 5 different Buddhas. They usually have 3 in these kind of temples, but this was 5. I thought, okay, Panchatattva, Kijai, Buddhist Panchatattva, why not? I like to say in China, we practice Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga, huh? Anyway, so, yeah, there's been a lot of theorizing about that. It's not something I've really studied so much, but there's one devotee in China who's written one book, at least 2 books, on the subject of China-India connections through archaeological things and historical. He's gotten quite into it. He's a kind of, independent scholar, we would say. China, India, it's a sort of the relations there. The political relations are not always happy, and there's always rumors. At present, Chinese people cannot get a visa for India. I don't know if it goes the other way also, but there's always a rumor that very soon it's going to open up and Chinese will be able to go to India, which is always exciting to the Chinese devotees. They're always very eager. They want to go to Mayapur and Vrindavan and so on. And they have been able to in the past. And it's been since COVID, they have not been able to go. So we're all hoping they can come there again. Krishna, Krishna. Yes, there's a microphone. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your lecture. I'm amazed as a teacher how you find a way to present this story. It's really very, very inspiring. So I want to thank you first of all. And I have 2 questions. One is why is karma or
Why is Hanuman orange? I like to think because he's a brahmachari. And the story is, and this is, again, I have to say, it's not in the Valmiki Ramayana, but the story is in some text. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. That when Rama sent Hanuman to find Sita, and he jumped over to Lanka, and he entered into Ravana's palace, he entered at night. And Ravana was sleeping, drunk, and he was surrounded by all these intoxicated women, and they were all sleeping. And Hanuman, he's never seen Sita, and he's looking for Sita. So he's looking at each one of these women and trying to, think maybe one of them is Sita. And at one point he stops himself and says, "What am I doing? I'm a brahmachari. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be looking at all these women. But I have to find Sita. But I'm a brahmachari. I shouldn't be looking. But I have to find Sita." And he's going back. And then at one point he says, "No, I have a mission. If I just focus on my mission, I will not be disturbed." And so he continues. So it doesn't matter. Yes, I'm a brahmachari, and yes, I have a mission, and therefore, yes, I'm going to continue searching. So that's my explanation. Whether there's some other explanation, why is Hanuman orange? Interesting question. Something we should research. If you find out, let me know if there's any authoritative explanation. Yeah, maybe. There are books by scholars on Hanuman. I could imagine someone has an explanation. Okay. So, what's our program now?
Just his
Announcements.
One announcement.
Only one.
Yes, only one. If it's alright in Croatian. Kao što je
It's all right.
Rasudari Hari Prabhu rekao, Maharađeve knjige možete naći na stolu, Maharađ će potpisati, dobit ćete kekse. S naše strane, od hrana, mi smo prošli tjedan tiskali novu Ramajanu, osnovu izdanje Ramajane, ako netko nema kod kuće, možete tamo na onom štandu i također Maharađe. Ako želi potpisati, ćemo još pitati, znači je to pisano Ramajanu.
Oh.
To moramo pitati. Ako bude više, da. Hvala.
Yes, that we have some budgets.
Oh, okay. Good.